but I think we're close enough. We'll have a call to order. Clerk, or Mr. Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Madam Chairman, we have a quorum with 6 present and 1 absent.
Okay, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item 2, approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move. Is there any amendments or changes?
I'd like to move number 14 up. Maybe after community comment or after the consent.
Okay.
14 kind of buried. In fact, it's after the adjournment.
Right, it's just additional information. Does anyone have a problem discussing that before adjournment?
What's this?
Number 14, move it up because that deals with the levy.
attachment.
Oh, we got that backwards. I see.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Information.
Actually, we're
Yeah.
discussing after the adjournment, which
The
we can't
information
do.
and finance. We just put it right
I
before
don't
the
think we
adjournment.
were actually going to discuss it. I think the way that this read was just
Or-
information, but we can move that
Yeah.
up.
Were we gonna discuss anything with that?
Yeah, we can have discussion on it still. It's just an attachment that's on the
Oh, so
agenda
we're not
piece.
gonna, it was not a discussion item or? to the board?
It wasn't a discussion item, but I was gonna give a report in my superintendent's report that these attachments are within the agenda. So I guess if you wanted to discuss it.
Then
put it-
I still would like to move that up because it'll be discussed, big item, so buried so deep and late.
Madam Chair, can I ask a clarification? Was it or was it not gonna be a discussion item? And I think that comes to Richard's request to move it. If it was not gonna be a discussion item, you know, we still can move it up, but I think it's important to know, address Richard's request to move it up.
No, it was informational only for the board as a result of what the finance committee had been given. So I guess it's up to the board chair to decide whether or not you want it to be a discussion item.
I was under the impression you were gonna talk about it in yours and if the finance committee, minutes, but does anyone object to moving it up and having any discussion?
Under the finance committee?
Or you can put it underneath my report
I was
too,
gonna
the
say under
superintendent
the
report,
superintendent.
either one.
I'd like to have it earlier for the audience because it's an important item. You
Doesn't
know, if you
matter.
wanna attach it to the finance, number, what, 8,
8.
that's fine too.
We can move 14 up
To-
to
8?
8.
Is it 8?
And we could do it B12. Make it 8B12.
Mm-hmm.
And other matters, which the approval of the Faribault High School and the Area Learning Center student handbooks. We'd like to move that up to after the consent agenda.
Yeah, that should be good.
Anyone have any?
Which item is it?
It's item 10A.
You want to move that up?
Yep, to right after the consent agenda.
Just leave it as 10A, but just recognize it.
Because we have people in the audience that are here, so.
Okay.
Any objections to that? Okay, so, approval of the agenda with the amendments of 10A moving up to after the consent agenda and 14 information that the finance committee reviewed to 8B12.
Also move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say same sign. Passes 6-0. Okay, recognitions, awards, and presentations. I'll go to Todd for this. We have Tom Casper completing training.
Sure, just want to congratulate Tom, and I have a certificate for you, official, completing phase 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna go right behind you.
Yep.
Thanks. You bet, for the MSBA training, so congratulations to Mr. Casper.
Does Tom have any words to say? Tom, did you want to say anything?
Thank you for the recognition. I found the training to be very interesting and helpful, and I'm looking forward to trying to make use of what I've learned.
Okay, and then Faribault Transportation inspection report.
Yep, and then just another congratulations, and maybe you want to have Garrett come up here and recognize them. They went through the transportation inspection again this year and did outstanding, and maybe you can kind of summarize what happened.
Gladly. Thank you for the positive recognition. As Todd said, we did have a strong showing in the inspection. Every year, the state will come in and inspect each vehicle that you use to transport school kids, and there are deductions on missed mechanical issues or lights being out, stop arms not working, et cetera, et cetera. And we actually were fortunate enough to not lose any points this year. That's somewhat, it's difficult to do. We're very proud of our mechanics. I shouldn't be the one up here. It's Tim Bowden and Troy Buster did a great job, and our cleaning crew did a great job getting the buses ready. We have great drivers who are experienced, and they can, detect issues, potential issues with buses before they get worse, and help through the process with that. And we're very lucky with the staff we have over there who did a great job, who deserve the credit. So we appreciate the recognition.
Thanks,
Thank
Garrett.
you. We really
Thank you.
appreciate everything you guys do. Okay, community comment. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to come up and address the board, we do ask for a 3-minute limit per speaker, 15 minutes per topic. Anyone interested? Okay, with no one stepping forward, we'll move right along. We have consent agenda, the minutes from the regular board meeting on July 16th, employment, additional assignments, and other authorization of payments, transfers, and investment activity. Any discussion? Anyone want anything pulled out?
I have a question. As I looked over the employment and the additional assignments, I was curious as to, are any of these positions new this year? Something that had not been existent in the past?
Everything that we have on here was part of the action that you took last spring with regard to that. Remember the list of ads and
Yes.
add-ons? But to my knowledge, help me out, Nicole, there isn't anything new on the list that would
At least within the
exceed
consent.
or go above beyond the budget which you approved.
All right, well, I'll raise a question later on number 8. I'm sorry, I was lost. 8B10. Perhaps I'm saying that right. The Community Education Enrichment Coordinator. To me, as I was, again, reviewing the materials, that seemed to be a new position.
That's new.
Okay, that
Yes.
one's new, but the consent agenda employment is based on our previous decision.
Budget, that's
Okay.
correct, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other information, discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Oh, second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further
Jerry.
discussion?
Yep. Jerry. Richard.
Okay, Mr. Clerk. Roll call, please.
James Wolf,
Aye.
Jerry Robichaud,
Aye.
Richard Olson,
Aye.
Deb Davis,
Aye.
Tom Casper,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Madam Chairman, it passes 6-0.
Thank you. Okay, and as stated for the amendment, we will have the approval of the Faribault High School and the Area Learning Center handbooks. If Lyle and Margaret would like to come up and talk about the changes, if there's any.
We gave a summary at the first work session, remember that? And I guess we took the stance, if you had any questions for them on the yearbooks, you can certainly ask them. There's a few changes on there, but anything that you'd like to ask for.
Any questions from anyone?
They're at your disposal.
I just have one question, both for Lyle and Margaret. These handbooks are shared with students on the first day of school, go through it class by class, or how are they educated about the content of the handbooks?
At the high school, within the first week or so, our handbooks are gone through page by page by the homeroom teachers.
Okay.
And then the assistant principal and I also meet with each of the homeroom time periods. There's 4 different lunches, and we cycle, the kids come back through, and then I go through and we highlight anything more that needs to be addressed with them, so they get a pretty good dose of it. So if they have individual questions within the homeroom time with their homeroom teacher, they can really get into it. And then we highlight like bullying and attendance and that kind of thing as a large group.
Thank you, Lyle.
Thank you.
Well, at the Area Learning Center, when we do registration, the handbook has gone over with each student and the parents. And then we also do it the first week of school. The work coordinators go over it as a kind of a training, rules and policies right in the classroom. And a couple of the other teachers have started doing that also, so they actually spend an hour at least during the first week going over the handbook.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any more discussion, questions from the board?
What happens if students are absent? Do they still make it up, or?
Howard, there's a whole a section on attendance, and so the kids very distinctly are covered, or it's explained what their obligations are and how that all works, so that's,
Do you mean?
If they miss the day, you cover the handbook,
yes.
then
They have an.
they're responsible.
Yeah, the parents would call in, and Shelley Fritz takes the attendance, and they cover that very, very thoroughly each day, every hour.
Yeah, so what I'm asking is, on the hour of the day that you cover the handbook, what happens if students are missing it that day?
The homeroom teacher, they'll give those kids an opportunity to catch up, and each kid has to sign, there's a sheet that we have that they understand. If there's anything that they need to get caught up on, they can do that with their homeroom teacher. Any new student that comes into the district, our counselors, if somebody comes in, say in the month of November, the counselor that's assigned to that student will go through and highlight different things in the handbook and give them some information about it too, so they have plenty of opportunity to ask questions and be informed.
And how do we handle it with those students that are not proficient at English?
Those kids are, they're with their homeroom teachers, which would be the ESL teachers in that case, and they go through that with them, and the liaison para that's with them, if they can't speak the language, can explain to them what's going on, so they're covered too.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, this is an action item, so I do need a motion.
So moved.
Do I have-
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. Curriculum Committee, there is no report this month. Policy Committee, minutes. Jerry wasn't there, was he? I guess that'd be me again then.
He was up north looking out on the lake.
Oh, hey, I wanna go with him next time. We actually had a very short, fast meeting. It was wonderful. We did discuss some policies that are coming up for first reading, and they are before you. Post-insurance debt compliance policy and procedures, which we did approve on an emergency basis. We did look over that once more through the policy committee, and everything looked great for us, and so we are just going back and doing the appropriate approval cycle. Disposition, policy 802, I'm sorry, that was policy 715. Policy 802, disposition of obsolete equipment and material. There was a few language changes that Kevin Hildebrand wanted added in, the term of designee in a few spots, so that the superintendent can have other people help him with all of that instead of being the people that know and deal with those issues a little more regular. Policy 205, the open meeting and closed meetings. There was just some language changed from MSBA on that. So we discussed those changes. Policy 901, community education. Now that we have community education in our under our jurisdiction, we decided we should really have a policy to deal with that, and we went with the MSBA sample policy. Next Tuesday, our meeting is at 5 p.m. and we're actually looking at changing our meeting times till 5. Any questions?
I have a question, and it is on open meetings and closed meetings, policy number 205 on the first page, which is page 43 of our packet. Item 1AB, it's, wait, let me see. I'm sorry, item 2A. It refers to, says all meetings of the school board, including executive session, shall be open to the public. I thought by definition, executive session was a closed meeting, but there, at least to my finding, I couldn't determine where executive session was defined and why it would be called and what it is, if in fact it is an open meeting. So I think that needs some clarification before we pass it.
Okay.
I said to my finding, in my reading, I did not see where it was further defined.
I don't believe I saw it when I read it originally either.
And it could just be to delete the phrase including executive sessions may be the answer. Because if there isn't such a thing in our policy, then why would we say including executive session? I think
Sure.
I would say that might be the easiest way. But if we're going to keep it in there, we need to define what an executive session is.
We will go back and discuss it at the policy meeting.
You know, also, Kathy was good enough to send these to me in advance. I did have a question on something that needs clarification. Who has the authority to call a special meeting or an emergency meeting? It says emergency meeting is a special meeting called because of circumstances that in judgment of the school board require immediate consideration. I guess I'm not exactly sure what and who has the authority to call that. Is it the chair? I think that should be specified in the policy.
It's the executive committee.
For the executive session. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm taking notes. Okay. Any other questions, concerns on the other three policies? Okay, these were first readings. We will take the policy 205, open meetings and closed meetings, back to the policy committee and discuss that some more and bring our findings to the next meeting. There was nothing from Courtney. Yep. Okay, on to finance committee, which is 8A, the minutes from August 13th. James or Howard?
I wasn't there.
Or Richard?
Yeah, Richard and Howard were there.
Todd, I'll let you, you were running the meeting.
Actually, Colleen was, but,
Oh, clean, okay.
I guess if you have questions on the minutes, it was pretty straightforward what they had on there.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is that we're gonna be approving here shortly.
Yep, it's all on
We
underneath.
discussed it, pretty mundane stuff, actually, pretty
Yep.
normal stuff, so.
Okay, moving forward, 8B1, approval of the district office lease levy resolution. And the resolution states. I'm
And I
sorry,
can-
it's a little slow.
Yeah,
Go
and I
ahead,
can just
Todd.
summarize all these real quickly
Sure.
as we go through it. This levy was in place 2 years ago. Last year, this levy was not renewed mainly because it was supposed to go through the legislature, state legislature. I testified in front of the House Committee and the Senate Committee this past spring and talked about the logic behind the levy. In fact, the new lease levy is now available to all districts that can illustrate that this is a financial benefit for the district and the taxpayers.
Thank you.
And it's open-ended, you said at the finance, right now. It's open-ended, it's forever?
Yes, that's correct. Well, you know what, I think we have to renew it each year. Oh, no, it is forever. Oh, thanks.
That's my understanding, was
You're-
forever.
you're right.
till Time.
But just a point of clarification, it's forever as long as the board authorizes the levy every year annually.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion, questions? This does require, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This is a resolution, so we do need a roll call.
James Wolf,
Aye.
Jerry Robichaud,
Aye.
Richard Olson,
Aye.
Deb Davis,
Aye.
Tom Casper,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Madam Chairman, it passes 6-0.
Thank you. Okay, item 8B2, Nerstrand agreements, lease and custodial food and data technician services. Todd?
Based on the new laws for the amount of a charter school can lease for a building, the lease levy amount decreased this past year for us. And in order for the school district to make up the loss in revenue from the lease, Colleen and I negotiated a new contract with Nerstrand. The contract is fair, we believe is fair on both sides. We had to give up about $6,000 and they had to pay about $6,000 extra. And both Nerstrand folks and we have agreed to the contract, and we believe it's a fair agreement. We also had to, the lease is less, it's about $210,000, is that right? So in order to make some of the difference, a lot of the charges that we have, we do for Nerstrand, which are included in that agreement, the custodial cost, the food, and data technician services, which are included in that agreement. And if you need more detail, then I'm gonna call cleanup.
And this was approved by the finance committee, correct?
Yes.
Any questions?
Can we take all these in one motion?
It's up to you.
If that's okay with everyone. 8B3, Minnesota State Academy's mainstream contract.
We have to vote on that.
I was talking about the Nerstrand
Oh.
agreement.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
So moved on Nerstrand agreements.
lease and custodial food and data technician services.
And the lease.
And the lease,
And
yep.
lease.
And the lease.
Lease and custodial.
Yep.
Somebody gonna say second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just one question about nurse training. Who's their authorizer this year?
Oh, cheaper. The name of it is, was it Innovations?
Innovations, I didn't think they could do it because they had too many. Well, they were.
Yeah,
They made some changes so that they were.
I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 8B3, Minnesota State Academy's mainstream contract.
Okay, and again, this contract is approved every year and allows the Faribault Public Schools to keep the general education aid generated by our residents who attend MSA. In return, we do not charge tuition for MSA students who attend Faribault Public Schools. We're unique in this situation. I think you guys remember the situation too.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say sign. Passes 6-0. 8B4, revised medical assistance contract.
This is a contract for Teresa Rome, our MA person, medical assistant person. She provides coordination, training, and oversight of the MS billing process for this district, MA billing process for the district. The contract was amended to include the cost of mileage. So the change went from $1,750 to now $1,766 per month. And the amount of revenue that Teresa generates more than offsets this increase in expenditure.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. 8B5, contract for early intervention services with Northfield.
This is a contract with Northfield Public Schools. Both Northfield and Faribault share the cost for this birth to 2 years, 11 months facilitator who coordinates intake services for children in Rice County. The facilitator's role is to act as a central point of contact for referrals for any child between birth and ages 2 years and 11 months. The services include screening, evaluating special ed, and coordinator of services with other agencies, and funding comes through Part C of the Infant and Toddlers Federal Early Intervention Dollars.
Quick question. Is this person split their time between Northfield and Faribault, and where are they officed respectively?
Cheryl, do you want to come get that?
Yes, they are, their time is split between Faribault and Northfield, and their office is in Faribault.
Cheryl, do you see?
Where is it in Faribault?
It's at McKinley,
Okay.
with the birth to 3 teen.
Do you see increases in this program? Are you seeing?
As far as the numbers of
Yeah.
children,
Yes.
it's holding pretty steady. We're not seeing a huge increase, but it's holding pretty steady.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. 8B6, revised lease for Cannon River Education Center.
This one's familiar with you as well. This is an amendment that's needed at this time due to the additional space in the CREC building for the secondary transition program, the STEP program, and EBD programs expansion for the Focus and Sun programs. The amendment agreement consolidates and simplifies the whole payment structure. Instead of having 3 different contracts, we just combine it into one We actually renegotiated this, Cheryl did a great job renegotiating this year, and we're actually getting a little bit more than what we had last year from Northfield.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Richard, you and I must be the only two here today.
I'm just doing my fair share.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, are we on the record to break?
We are on our way.
Just checking. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes,
May I
Mr.
ask
Lowe.
a question which isn't related to, but when Paul Panaski exited, he made a plea for additional office space for somebody who was essentially working out of a closet. Are you familiar with that? Has that been addressed space-wise? I think it's the ABLE program, or
Mm-hmm.
has that been addressed, or is that,
I think it's
I
been
don't-
addressed.
Yes.
You-
okay.
At the ALC, right, yeah, she's at the ALC.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, 8B7, Jefferson door replacement bid approval.
Okay, and then again, if you have, well, Kevin's not here, so you're not gonna be able to call him up here. Bids received from 2 companies for replacement of doors at Jefferson School. This is part of the bond. Funds will be from the deferred maintenance bond. And those are the 2 bids. The recommendations go with MedCon. And those will not be in before school starts. We're gonna have to do those over at Minnesota break.
So moved.
Thank you.
Can I second my own?
No, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank
You
you.
got it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
We're trying to break record.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. Okay, 8B8, Minnesota State University Mankato Agreement for Teaching Fellow.
Again, this is something familiar. The district's done this in the past, and it's an agreement with Minnesota State University Mankato and ISD 656. I think the agreement we're going to have to change. I don't know if you noticed that, but they had the wrong school number on the agreement, so we'll change that. To provide 1 teaching fellow in the classroom, it happens to be a kindergarten teacher. That'll be assigned to the Faribault classroom. It's a great deal for us.
Madam Chair, for full disclosure, I am no longer a full-time professor at Minnesota State College of Education. I'm a professor emeritus, so I have no vested interest in this contract, so it does not present a conflict of interest on me voting on this.
Thank you for that information.
No, I was not fired.
Okay.
Make a motion for approval with the change of 2397 to 656.
It's interesting, it's only in that cover sheet.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I missed it before I got out. So.
Yes.
Okay.
I lost it, it's coming back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a motion.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. 8B9, revised lease for the adult basic education space.
Again, we've reviewed the space that we need for our adult basic education program, and Pat has done a great job of taking a look at our needs with Mr. Hildebrand. We would like to expand our space. There was an attachment in your packet with the dollar amounts in there. And again, if you have questions about these, we can certainly talk to Anne Marie, Pat, or Colleen, or I about those.
This is part
Is
of the
this
lease
the
levy.
issue I raised earlier? Is this the office space? No.
No, this is
in
not.
that too.
No. This would not be, not part of the first lease, not the administrative lease levy.
No,
This would
this
be
is
part of
the-
the total lease
Right.
levy. That's correct.
I move for approval.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
did we get more space there? I forget what we talked about at finance meeting. We expanded our space?
Yes.
Almost twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you wanna get to square footage?
No, I just
Okay.
wanted, you had mentioned that we needed more space.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember whether we had.
And it's much easier for you now, Pat?
I'll come up with my 20 handouts because I know this is moving too fast for everybody, right?
Where's your test?
I'm getting
Where's your
bigger.
test?
Yeah, essentially it would increase our space by a little over 2,000 square feet. So it would give us a standalone computer lab, which we don't have, and give us 2 additional classrooms, which we will definitely put to use because hopefully we won't have to upgrade any of that. So,
Wonderful.
So what happened? Did space become available that wasn't available before?
yes, actually, it's the CREC program moved to the other place, and that space is available, so we're taking, it would be half of it if it gets approved by the board. Do you want the rest of my hand? Any more questions?
Any more questions for Pat? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I already have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and we did a second, correct?
Yep.
Then there was a question, I'm sorry. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, all those in favor,
Yes,
say
aye.
aye.
Aye, aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Passes 6-0. 8B10, Community Education Enrichment Coordinator position.
Okay, and again, I'll just summarize, and then if you have questions, you can ask Anne-Marie or Colleen. We are asking for approval for an additional .4 enrichment coordinator for our community ed program. The youth and adult enrichment programming is a new function for Faribault schools and an integral part of the community education program. Enrichment programming is a way to meet a lifelong learning need and interest for all Faribault district residents. This has the effect of strengthening school and community connectedness with our individuals.
And I move approval.
I have a question.
Second.
Who-
Second.
Oh, hold it, Tom, hold it.
I was gonna say, we have to get a second.
You gotta get a second
Since there was
first.
already a motion.
I'll second
Okay.
it. No discussion.
Okay, discussion. Who performed these duties in the past?
And I'm gonna have Anne-Marie help with this whole piece, but as we have in the past, we haven't had this program before. You can come on up, Anne-Marie. And so this is a new program for us. So we're developing the whole community ed program in one. So we've really never had an enrichment coordinator, and now we've found that we need to get one.
Okay, so the combined city, school district, community ed program did not have an enrichment coordinator position or someone performing those duties. Am I understanding that?
I have never seen an enrichment coordinator
Yes, yep, I
at
did.
all, so.
Our agreement with the city was the $161,000 that we sent to the city and hired them to do our community education programming. And part of that $161,000, they funded a full-time position to do enrichment coordination for the community as part of the community ed program. And that position also was in charge of the Buckham Bulletin, as I understood it.
Jeff
So, yes.
Jarvis, right?
Yes. Yeah, so part of what we sent to the city was used for enrichment programming.
Okay, so the city provided that.
Using our
service
funds,
As using
using our funds.
at least partially paid by school funds. or-
No, that position was
Totally.
totally paid by our funds, under the city. So it falls under community education.
Mhm.
So it was just something that they did as part of us hiring them to do community ed with using our $161,000.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so. I'm just trying to sort it through determine whether or not this is a new and additional expense at this point, and that I'm not.
It's new for the school, but I think Community Ed's always had enrichment programs, right?
Correct.
So are you saying to me that the funding of this position would not be new school district funds?
No.
It would be within the budget that we had
It's within
allocated.
our community ed levy money that we have for community education.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me back up and just maybe you can allay my concern. Over my 2 years on the board, I've heard a lot of coordinators and so on come present their case for their programs, and that's all good and well and important information. I am concerned with the cuts to what I will, for lack of a better term, and if somebody can give me a better term, please do, but cuts to traditional educational programming. You know, cutting teachers, cutting librarians, cutting whatever. That I am concerned about adding another coordinator if it represents additional money, additional cost to the district at this point, given our levy in November, given the potential cuts that we've, the nature of which we've discussed several times and will continue discussing. My hesitation is voting for an approval of a coordinator's position if that's going to negatively impact our ability to continue what we're doing.
No, now you have to remember that we are governed by fund accounting, and community education funds are completely separate from our day-to-day operations. So even if we didn't add this enrichment coordinator position, we couldn't use those funds to support classroom
and
teachers.
That answers my concern, is that I'm not, at this point, very hesitant to support any new hires, new positions, that sort of thing that has the potential for impacting our need for cuts in coming months.
Yep, and this really doesn't have anything to do with that. It's part of the 161,000. We actually had budgeted for a full-time clerical position for Anne Marie. She didn't fill that. She filled that with a part-time position. So as we relooked at the budget, we said, you do have some dollars available. What would you like to do with them? And she said, I'd really love to hire a part-time enrichment coordinator and get that program off the ground. So
thank you.
That's why
you've addressed my concerns. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I have a question. With the community ed director, with that .6 position of .4, what are we up to with the salary and benefits right now?
We have the full 161,000 budgeted. I think we're maybe shy by about $2,000. So for community education, we've got about 159,000 budgeted for her clerical, newsletters, enrichment coordinator, a little bit of equipment and supplies.
Okay, but you're asking some of these programs to fund it too, which didn't before.
Right,
So,
and that's not unusual in districts that have
but we
community.
didn't do it before.
Because it was at the city, yep.
It's at the city. Now these various programs under the umbrella of community ed, now you're not, I won't use the word forcing these people.
They're supporting the
They're
full-time.
supporting, but
a
they didn't do it
full-time.
before, so you're cutting into their budget.
Right, but we're supporting a full-time community education director, whereas with the city, we just had a part-time community ed director. So they're getting support for their money too in their programs, and Maria's helping them out quite a bit.
So I'd like to ask Anne Marie, what if you didn't have this person, and what's the importance of this position?
The importance is to really get the enrichment programming off the ground, which I am limited, by 24 hours in a day. So I'm having a hard time balancing kind of everything that I've got going, which is great. I'm having a great time in terms of really figuring out partnerships and all of the core programming and what we can do as a district through community education, reaching out to a lot of people who are not engaged in the schools. So the enrichment quarter is going to allow me to have someone, .4, really out there recruiting instructors, recruiting community members, developing partnerships to deliver this integral programming that we would really like to see happen.
So are none of these adult classes, special
There's
interest classes?
Yes, they're youth and adult enrichment classes.
So
So,
what-
adult meaning, we have some proposed ideas like financial planning, jewelry making, you know, kind of those arts and crafts, cooking. Youth would really be tied into what the school district is maybe offering already. That would really have that extended time on ACT prep or something like that. There would also be some youth wellness and fun activities like yoga. So really trying to expand those activities out.
Computer classes?
Sure. Can you teach?
I can use them.
Okay, oh, you can. I'm actually looking for instructors, so, but we'll sign you up once I get them. Oh, that's right, okay, okay, because I have a community ed report, part, so, okay.
Just one follow-up question to Colleen, just so we're clear. Do we have to increase taxes as a result of this current community ed program?
No.
Will
we
the
do
community
not.
ed program be balanced by the end of this fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
We're operating with the same dollars that we have in the past for the community education program.
Thank you, ladies. Any further questions or discussion?
I have a question with this recent article in the paper with South Central College. Is
Yep.
that community ed because Anne Marie is involved in that, right? Or how does that tie into all this?
Well, we're kind of just investigating this, but Anne Marie is again part of this whole piece. Yep, that's our educational component that we want to work on with our community ed piece, and we're just kind of scratching the surface on that South Central College part of it. But yeah, that would go through our, well, actually go through community ed, and it could go through our regular education programs too. Yep.
So that's a collaboration with South Central?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I'll bring again, why can't we have a collaboration with the city along with South Central? All the community groups.
Well, we are, but I mean, you guys can, I don't know what that has to do with this, but that's fine.
We can, maybe bring that up at a work session.
Sure.
Talk about that.
Cause this is the first time I've heard with South Central.
Yeah, yeah, it's the first time. Yep, it's come up. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cause it sounds like in the paper it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Did anybody read the first few sentences of that article, saying this is a done deal?
Yeah.
And that sort of caught me off guard.
Well, I mean, you can look at it both ways. If you want your superintendent to go out and find out different areas of where we can collaborate with different education institutions, I think that's probably a good use of my time.
Sure.
If you don't, then I won't. But you guys have to make that decision.
We can bring that up at a work session and discuss some of that also. So, okay, we have a motion and a second for Community Education Enrichment Coordinator position. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
No.
Roll call, please.
Here we go. James Wolf.
Aye.
Jerry Robichaud. Richard Olson.
No.
Deb Davis.
Aye.
Tom Casper.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Madam Chairman, the motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. Okay, 8.
I'll just say as a footnote, I do believe that talking about the partnership is much more the role of the board. I'm not opposed to the superintendent collaborating, I'm all for it. But I think talking about the strategy of collaboration, how it's going to evolve, is much more the role of a board than to approve a .4 position, which is management and operation. So if we're gonna choose one or the other, I'd rather talk about the broad strategy as opposed to getting into the nuts and bolts of staffing.
Unfortunately, by law, we have things that we must do as a board. Okay, moving on. 8B11, Health and Safety Budget.
Again, just summarizing, as part of the requirements for this Minnesota statute 123B57, a school district board must approve and adopt a health and safety budget to receive health and safety revenue for any fiscal year. In addition, the budget must be consistent with the health and safety budget board policy that was approved on June 13th, 2012. And then again, your attachment has the proposed health and safety items based on the UFAR's data. And again, you can call on Colleen for her expertise if you need that to discuss this levy.
Any questions for Colleen? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. And I would just like to reiterate that the Finance Committee did review all of these and did approve everything to be brought forward. Okay, moving forward, 8C, budget. Enrollment report.
No,
We're gonna pull the,
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry, I forgot
The
to.
data.
we moved something.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't make my arrow big enough.
Okay.
14, information. That the Finance Committee reviewed, additional information. Sorry, I'm pulling it up. There were some questions brought up that the answers are presented to us. Any questions, discussion of the information presented to us?
Maybe we can have Todd go through this.
just wait, does everybody have it pulled up?
I believe so.
Just wanna make sure.
Mhm.
There's we presented this at the Finance Committee. We wanted to make sure that all the data was accurate, and the facts has items 1 through 18 there. And then going a little bit further, there's some graphs that compare, you see the first color graph, I think it's 4 of 10, that compares the free and reduced population. We tried to get similar demographics of schools that have similar free and reduced lunch populations, and compared them to our local operating levy. The local operating levy is in the red bar graph. The blue bar graph, I left them as decimals, but if you take it times 100, that'll change it to percent, so you can see what the percents are across the board. But the levy for Faribault is at 24% of the maximum. The maximum levy is about $1,600 if you use that dollar amount. So if you compare, for example, Albert Lee, their local taxpayers have approved 63% of the $1,600 for their taxes. North St. Paul has approved 52%. St. Cloud is, yeah, that's it, 35%, and so on for those different things. The purpose of the graph is to show that districts with similar populations have passed higher levies. They're just facts from where those levies are. Those are comparisons that we've been asked to do. Then there's the LEP population, same type of comparisons that you have there. You have our similar LEP populations. LEP is English language learners. And again, doing the percentages, we try to get as close as we can to different districts. And again, you can see the same stats for the operating referendum. And then the graph with the special education population, same idea. You get the graphs with similar special education populations, and then again, the other graphs are the percentages of the levy. And then we also broke down the expenditures for salaries, and the salaries per person. We used all the salaries in the district, and the salaries, you can see that one's on page 7 of 10. Average salaries we did for employees versus the entire employees versus the referendums. Again, you can kind of see where Faribault lies on those. And then finally, we also did a comparison of, the employee benefits, and again, the referendum dollar amounts for comparisons. And then that last page, 9 of 10, has the proposed, or the approved levy by the board, and then the tax increases, and then also the total change in revenue on line 37 of what that total is. Lines 35 and 36 on that break it down with state aid if the levy is approved, and then also what the actual levy would levy amount would be. Okay.
Did anybody make a comparison, Faribault, with other districts, even though I don't like comparisons, but our tax base? You know, it's as compared to like Old Town, which has a large manufacturing tax base.
I did. I actually went through that tax. I was just talking to Jerry earlier today. The amount of tax effort for Faribault, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but for other, well, actually all the comparison district was less than all the other districts that I analyzed. So in other words, for us to pass a levy, it should theoretically be easier to pass because it's costing our taxpayers less than it does all the other taxpayers per $100,000. For example, Northfield, they have to pay their property taxes on a home that's valued at $100,000. They have to pay $340 per year. Faribault pays $80. So I did do that analysis, and actually it's we're pretty low. And that comes from the C data from the, actually it's from the state of Minnesota. But I didn't put this in here.
Madam Chair, this is great information. How's it going to be used?
Well,
What
it's,
purpose was it?
the data is, it can be used for anybody who wants it, and specifically if the Friends of Education want this information to put towards their campaign, or if I'm invited or Clean's invited to present at various groups, we can present this information to the taxpayers so that they have some sort of financial data as to where they are with comparison to these other districts. We did the Big 9 also, and we did surrounding districts as well as the like demographic. So we tried to get as many comparisons as possible so everybody would have that data.
It's definitely factual information that we have.
It definitely is.
What other information is gonna be made available? Is there additional information gonna be made available?
Depends on if they ask for it.
Well, at the last work session, we had a discussion on specificity or non-specificity.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering, is this the product, or
No.
is there gonna be more products? And maybe I'm getting